Hi Seahawks, and thanks for joining me out of the studio for this episode of Port City Spotlight. This week, my team attended the Slam Poetry Contest here on campus. The Slam consisted of 11 student contestants and 5 judges, made up of a creative writing professor, an MFA student, a local Slam poet from Mike's Wide Open, and myself. The Slam consisted of 3 rounds. The Poetry Slam was dedicated in memory of a UNCW student, Wilmington poet and artist, and my dear friend, John. He was a physics student here at UNCW. You could always find him out every week sharing his poetry and art at local venues here in Wilmington. He was a great friend to everyone around him. This episode is dedicated to his memory.
I'm sure most of you got the email from the university about the student that passed recently. It's someone I actually met during the spring semester at Grinder's Cafe. He would come a lot every week and read poetry. He's did a lot to fight a lot of internal battles, you know. So I just wanted to dedicate this to him because of his love for poetry.
And yet I am called here, a knight in shining armor. With a sword in my right hand, I am dragging contraband.
Back when I was starving and broke, I stole food and booze from grocery stores and wrote bad checks. Then I stole because I was cocky. My smooth collared shirts are eternally wrinkled.
Baby, I used to think polka dots were tacky, but you wear them so gracefully that, dare I say, I would polka with you all night long at community dance night, but only if you ask me, because I don't dance.
Like birds in the sky that sing, I will let these words of mine ring. I will face the world and say, look what I've become today.
I'm here, you know. It may not seem like I'm here, but I am. I'm just quiet, soft-spoken, too nice. It's a curse, a really horrible one. Everyone thinks they can walk all over me, like a sidewalk that can just do things for them.
She was shouting at me about being overly emotional. Depression was something I made up to get attention. My misunderstanding of human emotion was something I stole from Buffy and Charmed.
Where man-made fact is most likely fiction, and man-made fiction is common truth's usual diction. Word choice? It is irrelevant to those who have no voice. Where black in its presence is all colors absorbed.
And turn gardeners into drug dealers and scholars into junkies. A mind that can create so much, but we drag our feet and poisons through the mud, creating problems, not solutions. Instead of medicines, we make drugs, and we make hate instead of love, and we make skyscrapers.
I loathe that smile that lingers just around your lips but never touches. A way to make you love yourself the way I long for you.
I am violence, and I am deep purple turbulence, and I am overflowing. It's burnt grape juice, it's simmering tar, this stuff that leaks from me. In great sticking globs, it slaps the pavement beneath my feet, and I remember this is supposed to be painful.
Live your life like you want to. You've lost someone you love, but the world keeps turning. Your heart keeps beating, your blood keeps moving.
Hello UNCW, I'm joined today by Rebecca LeBlue, the 2015 winner of Atlantis' Slam Poetry Contest. So Rebecca, can you tell me a little bit about how you got into slam poetry?
Yeah, actually the first time I was exposed to spoken word was my freshman year of high school at something called the Leaf Festival, which is an arts and music festival in Black Mountain, which is right outside of Asheville, and I was just totally blown away with it. I had never seen it before, I never knew what it was, and I was kind of like, I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that, but it's gonna be my goal that I'm gonna do that. And I didn't really start seriously writing for it until about a year ago. And Asheville has a really big youth spoken word community. There's a club at my high school, and we also have something that's called a B&V team. B&V stands for Brave New Voices. Brave New Voices is the largest youth international spoken word competition in the world, and I was lucky enough to be chosen for the team of 6 other poets to go and represent Asheville last summer. There are teams from all over the world. It's a 5-day international slam and festival. You had teams from California, Texas, Michigan, New York, all the way to places like South Africa, Ireland even came this year. I have definitely met some of my best friends in the entire world that I have just connections all over the place and that are just the most genuine, beautiful people I have ever met.
So you're a UNCW freshman. What brought you to Wilmington?
The creative writing program was definitely a big part of it, but I'm also a science major, so it's kind of a weird dichotomy. I'm trying to make it work. I know I will. I want to. I think it seems like science and creative writing shouldn't go together, but I think there's a way to make it work, and I don't want to have to sacrifice either of my passions. So I'm definitely looking for a way to mix those, and I think the fact that this community has such a big science, but also a really good writing department. I think that's a really cool place for me able to try to experiment and find what I'm going to do with both of those things.
So what was your experience like with this slam poetry contest?
I had no idea what to expect. The entire day I woke up, I had a class at like 10, and then I came back to my room. I ate Nutella in my bed and watched button poetry videos and other spoken word videos on YouTube all day up until I had to leave for the slam like 15 minutes before, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I should just stay here and finish this jar of Nutella. But either way, then I got back to it, and it was a celebratory rest of the jar of Nutella. But but I did not know what to expect. I didn't expect there to be 11 poets. I was really intimidated by that, and the fact that all the judges were either very experienced poets themselves or professors. I was terrified. But I'm really glad I was there. It's definitely nerve-wracking for me to get up on stage, but once I'm kind of up there and in the moment, it starts flowing, and I kind of find my pace and my persona per se on stage, and it's such a freeing feeling being able to get up there and say your truth or just say what you've been writing about.
Yeah, and I thought it was really great that there were so many people in the slam, and like with the judges, we had a creative writer professor, we had LB, who's a performer out here in the community, Will, who won 3rd place last year and is an MFA student, and then me getting to come on again and getting to talk to you since I won last year. It's so much fun to just talk about poetry in general, which leads me to my next question of how do you plan on bringing poetry into Wilmington's culture?
Well, I think like the biggest thing that I was bummed about when I came here is that there wasn't a club per se on campus, and I didn't even know about the slam until a day or two before it was happening, because I just didn't know where the spoken word was on campus, and it kind of got put in the back seat. But I heard about the slam, and now that I've had the opportunity to network with people on campus, but also some of the judges, like you said, that are poets in the community, I'm hoping to put a club on campus so that we can start building a community for poets to build their writing and find their voices and just have a safe space for whatever they need. Because I've found a lot of the time that spoken word poets are very, like I said, are very beautiful people and very understanding people, and I think that it's the best way to foster community. And so once we have the people here on campus who are comfortable with their writing, maybe we could start moving out into the community during open mics at coffee shops or even in the downtown Wilmington area. So I'm really hoping that it'll start really small, but then it's gonna blossom into something a lot bigger and beautiful while I'm here.
And on my show, we've talked about great spaces like Grinders Cafe, Addicted to the Bean, Bottega now is one that is really popular for slam poetry, and so it's great for writers and performers, whether you're page poetry or performance poetry, and even if you're looking for something fun to do on the weekend, getting to go and just listen is such a moving and incredible experience.
Definitely. I mean, the first thing I did when I got up on stage, I didn't know if I should preface or anything, but I felt everyone else had kind of said something. I should say something, so I just asked the crowd how many people had been to a spoken word performance before, or like a slam, and 85% of the room had not been to a slam before. And I mean, that blew me away, but I was so happy to be part of that experience for those people, because I had so many people say like, wow, this was so cool, are there more things like this? And I remember the first time I saw a spoken word performance, it changed my life. It really did. And it was just so cool to be kind of part of that experience for other people.
So what's next for you?
Oh man, Well, aside from trying to start the club, which is going to be a lot of paperwork, which I'm not excited for, but it'll be worth it. Right now, it's just a lot of writing for me. Since I didn't know that there was a community on campus, that there are a bunch of people now that I've found that enjoy spoken word or just page poetry in general, and it has definitely gotten me out of a writing rut that I've been in for a while. And so I'm excited to be writing new pieces and finding places in the area to get my new pieces out and just build myself, obviously, because I have a long way to go as a poet. I always do. And I'm really just looking to connect with people and build like a new community here, aside from outside of what's back home.
So at the end of this interview, we're going to show one of the poems that you performed at the Slam, because we filmed it.
Oh, man.
And I'd love to hear about your process writing it and what it meant to you when you wrote it, what it's about.
Right. Well, an issue that is very important to me are feminist issues. And I find a lot of the time that with little girls, which is what my poem is about, we place this, whether we do it intentionally or not, in an emphasis on girls getting their first boyfriend and girls like getting their first kiss. And there's such an emphasis on it that little girls are so focused on boys over themselves and their first experiences that they have with boys instead of just experiences they have with themselves. And when we build that mentality, it sticks with them, and they don't realize a lot of the time that they define themselves not by the presence of or absence of boys, but just who they are when they're alone or dancing in their room or anything of that sort. And I think it's just important that we make sure little girls know that they are so much more than the people they date or the people they could date or who their future husbands are going to be. I mean, I used to work at a summer camp, and I cannot tell you how many little girls would come up to me and be like, I know what my wedding dress looks like. I'm like, honey, you have more together in your life than I do, but I'm not sure. In a sense, enthusiasm for the future is good, but there's so much more like between where they are and that distant spot that they have so much growing they need to do on their own, and I want them to know that it's okay to do that like alone.
And I want to thank you, Rebecca, for coming in today on being on the show. And guys, remember, look out for next semester with the Slam Poetry Club that she's going to make. And upcoming next, we're going to take a look at that poem.
They say you never forget your first kiss. Even the one reminiscent of kissing a fish, clumsy mouth wide open. They also say you don't forget your first time, both pressurized and weightless. Like struggling at the bottom of the pool, fumbling for something to hold on to, like your first time on a bike. We tell our little girls that these are cherished things, the gems of youth, the roses in our bouquets of to bees, the reason our bodies still have so much growing to do. We tell our little girls that one day a boy will walk into their lives, but not to worry if it doesn't work out, because there will be more of them. My mother never told me any of these things. Comparatively, I was a late bloomer, and it made me think about kindergarten back when Annie liked Patrick, or Patrick liked her best friend Kayla, and my friend Kaylee liked this guy named Nick who didn't like her back because he liked Sarah, who was neighbors with my other friend Alec, who one time tried to kiss me in the sandbox, and I threw sand in his eyes and got sent home for a few days. We teach our little girls that they will get attention for talking about that one boy from art class who likes to draw crocodiles, because young love is cute in the same way as small buttons and furry kittens, and even I could see it. What wrong could come from that? In high school, when they're finally dating, crocodile boy beats up little girl, but she wouldn't want to spoil the fairy tale for everybody else. Plus, she's got depression, so isn't it just beautiful how he puts up with her? Look how he saved her. What a lovely young man he has become. Girl is only still little girl, because he hasn't picked her flowers yet, just bought her them, and so little girl is not woman until man has touched her. And she will believe this unless told otherwise. We need our little girls to know that the steps to womanhood are not always defined by boys. Teach them to signal SOSs from the smoke of burning his notebook paper hearts. Remind them not to make a special Valentine for the boy who picks on them. Attention does not mean affection. Let them know that the right ones aren't worth 2 scraped knees and should hurt a hell of a lot less, that they can be more than somebody's princess, that they shouldn't have to sacrifice their voice for the chance to walk beside another, and that being kissed from a slumber isn't the same as being kissed while unconscious. They are the only ones that can save themselves. So when little girl becomes woman, it's on her own terms.
Don't teach little girls that playground love is synonymous with the real deal. Don't teach them that talking about a boy is the most precious thing they could ever do. Stop responding with, look how grown up my little girl is. Don't let them believe that the trembling in their eyes are merely pupils nodding I love yous. Let them know you are scared of how much you are trying to protect them from, without protecting them too much. So when the time comes where it doesn't work out, well, no, there's always themselves.